right. Shalom, 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 shalom. See if we can get it going here. Hallelujah. Uh-oh. Let's see what we got going. Got the music on. All right. We're going trying to get solo here. Hallelujah. All right. All right. Welcome, 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 welcome to Power Up. We go ahead and call the brothers in here and see if we can go ahead and get started. All right, all right. Praise Yah. Hallelujah. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Who we got in the chat room? The early birds. They say this the early birds right here. And then they begin to flow in. All right. All righty, righty, righty. It's all right. All right. Okay, we weather the storm. I guess that could be literally too. For those of us that's in the Texas area, I'm sure that anyone that that glanced at the news know that the tornadoes and different things that we didn't had in the last several weeks, and we really had places that was almost dry, and now they're running over. So grateful for the rain, of course. But sometimes comes along with that when you have the tornadoes, you also have destruction and all of those things. And near the assembly, we seen trees, big old trees rooted up along with the concrete and just all around us. And so we didn't have that much damage at all. So I'm so grateful for that. And those around us, what wasn't as much, but a lot of trees, especially when they are getting older. That down at on down, I guess the mall is about 2 miles away from us, 3 miles where it really hit the tornado. Okay, where the tornado really hit in that particular area. I don't know. I didn't hear anything about Scott and White and all that. They didn't say nothing anyway, so my assumption that they was halfway, whatever little destruction with the trees and stuff like that. A lot of trees, a lot of branches, a lot of buildings and stuff that was uprooted. So I think we had mentioned earlier, the workers are doing real good. It's amazing how they can get power back up. And some was extended power, of course, but that my hats off to those that work to try to restore. Just puts in my mind that being a people of restoration, so always trying to restore something, it takes a lot of work for that, and it's not the best conditions that they have to work in. And when you look back, sometimes you see your home one way and you look back and now your home is a total different way. Sometimes it could be something in your heart that could really drop. So want to continue to have our prayers to go out and then our hands to follow. So it's always good for that we can always pull together. And it's always amazing to see how people pull together in a time of tragedy or disasters and all of those things. My heart has always felt, I think all the what we think and all of the lines that sometimes the walls that bind us, keep us separated in a time of need, sometimes we really pull it together. And so those of us, of course, that are in covenant, it should always be like that. We should never build walls, but we should always be able to join together and find that ground and know that it is definitely needed of unity, and that's what we're trying to find, the unity of that. So I'm grateful for all of those things. And even though we had light, we still had some hail, and I think we had rain last night, matter of fact. And I don't know if it was hail, but the winds was up, I don't know, maybe 35 or so miles an hour or something like that. But of course, last week, we was up to 80 or more. So just kind of grateful for that in the area where I'm living at as well. wasn't too much going on, some trees or different things like that. But it's a time to be thankful for all of those things. So grateful for that. So grateful for that. So if any of you was going through that, and those in the chat room, or even maybe looking at that know that that they are working, they're trying to do their best, and hopefully that will keep the frustration down that's going on maybe presently in your life, and just try your best to stay encouraged, and always look at the other part, that what could have happened. So a lot of times in this time we are looking at what happened, but what could have happened sometimes give us the joy that we needed in that, and know all things, and if anything that your insurance or anything else can do, just remember, hopefully that it can be rebuilt and repaired. So stay encouraged in that. Well, tonight we want to really talk about the influence of a good, and that's important that we have a good name, right? So we want to talk about the influence of a good name. When I was thinking about this, I was thinking about how I got into it, was thinking about how people will say, tell someone else about you, and because of their reputation and because of what they stand for, how they present themselves, then sometimes they would say even hire you or do things for you, or just because of who you who say referred you to them, right? And it holds a lot of weight. So the next couple of sessions, we want to kind of build on looking at the reputation and how that's important, and how that power of that influence of a good name, especially being in the covenant. And maybe we'll give some examples of some of those in the covenant that stood, and because of their good name, because of the influence that they had, things would happen. So it's good for us to have a good name behind that which we do. When all things are possible now, all things are possible, and I always say that even if those begin to tell those things that's not true about you, or say the gossip or all of that, putting all those things together, the main thing in your life is that those things are not true. It's very difficult. We cannot stop anyone else, right, from believing something. But for sure, if you know that it's not true, then that's really what's important on that. And I know you may have a lot of things around you, and I think that's what frustrates us, is the fact that those things that not truth seem to get the real flame and the the power to go around and do different things, right? But those things that are true, but just know that you can always live. I always say live a lie down. And what I mean by that is a phrase of your life should be able. So when somebody says something about you, it shouldn't even fit in your life. Don't let it be so then, right? Don't let it be so. And so your life can live that lie down. Sometimes people would say, as an example, people would say, hey, I thought this about you, but now being around you, right, now I feel differently. Well, why is that? Because whatever they heard, right, they brought that with them when they met me, right? Always give people a chance when we are doing something. Always give them a chance, right? You got to always give them a chance to understand and to do the things that of their own. Other words, form another relationship with them, because it's very important in that, because if somebody has a good influence in someone else, so because that's the reason I put in a good, because some people can have an influence, but it's not a good one. And so our focus wants to be, again, on these next sessions, of the fact that they have a good name. someone that has a good name, and how can that really build? Now, that's something that we want too, being with the Most High. We want a good name, and you can build that. No matter where you at, you can build that, right? And it's a continual work. It's ongoing. Once you build it, you got to continue to maintain, right? You got to continue to maintain. Now, those of us, most of us, we're talking about the tornadoes and destruction of just think about it. Once you build a home, though, you have to maintain that home. Somewhere down the line, you got to put paint on it. Somewhere you got to nail a nail. Somewhere something is not working, you got to fix it. So you have to maintain it. Now, if you do not maintain it, the little little things will begin to happen, and then will become big things, and before you know it, you got destruction going on, and we don't want that in our lives. We don't want those things, but we want to just get in here and just kind of think about in our own lives how we can build. So that'll be one of the subjects I guess we can kind of start out is why is it, I ask you gentlemen in your own words and whatever how you want to put it in that, why is it why is a good name or a good reputation important? Why some of the things that you think a good name would be, and why is it important in the things of the Father, being in the covenant with the Father? I guess I always use Jedediah to come up first, my brother, so you can come on up and share those things with us.
Oh, yeah, shalom, elder.
Shalom, shalom.
Yes, I think that having a good name and a good reputation goes a long way. No, not just within your community, but outside your community. Um, People that you deal with on a regular basis is very important for them to understand who you are and what you stand for as a
Hmm.
servant of the Most High. Um, Even I give an example. If I'm at work or somewhere where someone accused me of stealing, you know, I would like to believe that most people wouldn't even consider that. They'd be like, him, he's stealing, he stole from you. Are you sure?
Yeah,
That's
right,
just the way
right,
that I would look at it because um, the way that I present myself in front of others. I present myself as a man of the Most High, and men of the Most High, when you wouldn't catch them stealing. That's
right,
not
right.
something that we should be doing. So, and also just being around those, like I said, whether in the community, in your household, or um, being in the work environment or in places where you with certain people may see you and like you got in the title influence.
Hmm.
We
Hmm.
look at social media. There's so many influencers. Like, what are you
Right.
influencing people to do? Well, the best influencers would be those who serve the Father,
Hmm.
because our influence to others should be showing, being a light, being a beacon of light to others. As we are in this world of darkness, allowing people to see the Messiah through us. That's the type of name that I know that I want to present to people. That's the type of reputation that I
Hmm.
want to give, especially to my children. When they get older, you know, they meet people. They may have husbands, they may have wives, they have children. One thing that I would like for them to say is that my father served. He served the Father in
Hmm.
righteousness and truth by faith and obedience. So as for me, I think that having a good reputation goes a long way and it can carry on.
Absolutely, absolutely. All right, my brother, we'll have your host would have come up and oh, he went blank on us. Is he still? Let me see if he's there.
Shalom, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, but we cannot see you. You're hiding. We can't.
Uh,
uh,
what is
uh,
going on today?
I tell you what, though.
Um,
In the meantime, if you want, I can move this around. There you go. Okay, you popped up. That's all I had to do is count to 10. One, two. That's all right. Sometimes the
uh,
cameras and different things go on, and all of those things happen sometime. Is that right?
yes, sir.
It happens to all of
Um,
us. Nobody's safe from the technology of life. There's no safety in that. So why is a reputation or a good name, a good influence is important to us?
yes. Shalom, shalom, and all
Yeah,
praise to the King of Kings. And I'm so grateful for
yeah.
that, and thank you for having me on here.
Right. I think you done froze up again. Just you can keep talking, and I probably could get you. Let me go solo, and then let me see. We could
Okay.
probably okay. Yeah, just go ahead, my brother, and go ahead and talk there. And if you, I can see you, and if your camera starts working again, then I'll put you back up.
Yes, sir. Sorry.
Hey,
Uh,
I've been
so,
there. Yeah,
so
yeah,
you gotta laugh to
yeah,
stop from crying. No, I'm kidding.
yeah. There you go.
Praise Yah. Well, I believe why it's important, like you were saying about the good name. And I think Jedediah really put it all in a bow really, really neatly. Um, and I would say that really, in terms of all those good things that he brought out, the character that people know you for, it'll speak louder than your dissenters or than the
Hmm.
words that people have to say against you. Um, and I think that that's necessary because we're in a world today where people do take things on face value and they take a lot of snapshots. So they don't want the whole story. They just want that part that makes you look bad. So if you have a
Hmm.
good name and people are known, people know you for, doing things of uprightness. And like Jedediah said, even long after we depart from this place, there, your character, the kindness you've done, the mercy you've shown, the generosity you've put forth, those things will always outweigh any negative thing that would be brought against you.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
like you said in the beginning, Maury, like, let it not be true. Okay, well, if you are living uprightly and doing the good deeds, and more than just that, you're you're the type of person that's after the heart of the Father. That lifestyle will it'll change the people who are around you. You would even say sometimes, I want someone to be better leaving my presence than when they came. And I think a person who cares about having a good name and a good reputation seeks opportunities to do things like that. So let us defuse this situation instead of let it escalate, or let us seek the good part of this equation and not assume the worst. You
Hmm.
know, and so I believe that's why it's important to have a good name or a good reputation, because you're always going to be in an environment where it's better off because you were there, not because you're, some, you know, overly talented person, but you brought in encouragement, you brought in peace, you brought in healing. Somebody didn't know how to see a way out of this situation, but then that when the person who has a good name shows up, that they were able to find a solution and hopefully make something better than making it worse. So and long beyond that, who they are as a person is the type of person that will inspire others to want to be like them. And then ultimately, that's all of us pursuing to be more like the King, the Messiah.
Yeah, hallelujah. And that's what we have to really build on, because I think it's critical in our lives as we be the example. And I think you guys put it out, in such a way. Good food, always good to chew on. It increases when someone has a good influence or a good name. It always increases the trust, and that is very, very important. When you have a good name, you will have more, say, opportunities to do things, right? When you have a good name in that, and it's something that, like I say, you can continue to build on. In that, when you have a good name, it makes you solid. It makes you solid in that, and it always enhances wherever you go. It enhances your credibility with others. And a good name would cause others to support you in such a way is because of your name. A good name now in that, and you get the opposite when their reputation is not as good, right? But you still may have one. Either way, we may have one, but what is it in that? And so that's the reason some people are known for for what they do, and then others will still do it, have a good name, but they may not be known. They may not be known, and sometimes in our world today, it might be the quantity of something that causes you, or how the media looks at you, and all of that. How you become especially this sensation that they have today. All of the things that go on. But how do you? I guess I asked the next question I get is how do we begin to form a good name? What is it in our behavior? What is it in our communication? What are some ways? What does that look like? In our actions and in our words. And how can we build this over time? How can we do that? Jedediah, come on, step up and help us out there, my brother.
Oh, yes, sir. When I look at the question that you just posed, it's like, where do we start? I think that we should always start in the word. That's the first place we should go. We
All
have
right, all
so
right.
many examples throughout throughout the book that just gives us ways to go about dealing with the Father, making sure that we operate in the fruit of the Ruach. And
Good.
one of the best examples that I've seen, I say one of my favorites is with Dawid, with David,
Mm-hmm.
and how he dealt with Saul. He could have killed him a few times. He knew better, not to touch that king, not to touch Saul, and how to deal with Saul. So he was just very humble in his approach when you have a man that's literally out that wants to kill you,
Mm-hmm.
a man that just has just nothing but hatred towards you. And I believe that Dawid was a very good example of where we start at, and starting with the fruit of the Ruach is where I think we should go. Um, and in the walk, um, dealing with our everyday lives, we start, like, a place where I like to start at is I look at my life before I came into the walk,
Mm-hmm.
the things that I
Good.
once did compared to the things that I do now.
Mm-hmm.
The way that I handled certain situations before, well, how would I handle that now? Or how would I think I would handle a situation now? Because it's easier to go about, and when you put in a certain situation, you're dealing with certain people, you may find yourself not going in the right direction,
Mm-hmm.
um, especially with the things that come out of your mouth. In my home, am I speaking good things to my children? Am I speaking good things to my wife? Does she have it in her to say, this is the way, this is the reputation, this is the characteristics of my husband, my
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
children? How do they view me? How do the people, the Mishpachah, view me?
Good. Good. Mm-hmm. Absolutely, absolutely. I think one of the things that you had brought out was that, and maybe we, as we go into the next one as well, is important that we realize that the fruits of the ruach is very, very important, right? And that will make things solid in the fact of our reputation with others. So if we move into that, then we'll find ourselves in a good place and we come to practice. So a lot of these things we have to practice in that. And if we do that, then those actions we'll see, other people will see the reactions as well. All right, my brother, are you still there? And we may not can see you, but can we hear you? Can we hear you? I guess we can't hear you either now.
No, so you should be able to hear me.
Yeah. I think that you popped up there.
Yes,
All right.
I think I figured out what's
Oh, you
going
you you
on.
figured out. I'm glad you figured out, my brother. Well, I'm glad you figured those things out.
Yes, it's just not favorable. But
That's it.
so that was the so how do we go about developing a good name was the question.
Yeah. We building on that. How to
Oh,
form,
okay.
how to form a good name, or how to build it. Even I guess we can have a double fold in that. I know there are ways, in our actions and our words. I think something that we can do. Of course, it's going to be over time, but it's something that you can build on. How do you want to present yourself? You want to present yourself as a child of the Father, or you want your own? How are those things accomplished? Because we have to interact with one another in those things. So.
I mean, um, I think even to capitalize on what was already said, there were certain individuals that stood out because of their relationship with the Father.
Mm-hmm.
And what I see in their lives is that they chose the Father in places where it seemed uncommon.
Mm.
So I think Abraham was one that really set the bar. And, most people considered him the father. Some people say the term father of the faith, right? Well, the
Yeah.
thing is, Yeshua even said, well, if Abraham was your father, then you would do this. And like it was
Oh, okay.
mentioned, okay, so then you would have a character of kindness, you would have a character of generosity
Mm-hmm.
and a
Mm-hmm.
patience and mercy. You would be the type of person who intercedes for the wrongs of others. All those things we learned from Abraham. He even went to war to save one person. And then when he saved that person, he also saved many more. So I think, he was a man of sacrifice. Um, he cared about his family and he was willing to do, what it takes to provide for his family and even to teach his children. And all those things I believe would be what you need at least I'm thinking like from a man's perspective. I
Mm-hmm.
say just in a general way, it said that he left all that he knew to go to the Father. And for me, that's building a good name because that means instead of choosing to lift up yourself because look how much money I have, or look at how beautiful my wife is. He's saying, no, I chose the Father. I chose to follow him, and I chose to obey his commandments. So this act or this particular environment would be someplace where I would not go. It's not permitted for me because I've chose the Father. And those things I believe will cause one to really start seeing that the teaching that you're putting forth by your way of life is influencing people, and you'll be able to say, well, I'm living my life not like the people who are against the Most High.
Mm-hmm.
And that is a such category. We've got Yah says, I've had my people. And I
Mm-hmm.
believe if you make yourself congruent with his people, you'll find out that he says they're like priests. Well, what do we know about priests? Priests bind up the broken. They
Mm-hmm.
pray.
Mm-hmm.
We know that they deny themselves. They put others before themselves. As it said, I think Shaul said, esteem others more highly than yourself. So I believe all those things are
Hmm.
attributes that would really cause someone to really, take a look at themselves. And honestly, for me, like you were saying, like how do we form a good character? I think the first thing, honestly, is to desire it. If you're not
Good, good.
desiring to be a person who, leaves that sweet aroma behind them of kindness, or a person who's saying, oh, you can't, how can I say it, you don't want to present that opportunity to him or to her, because they're a child of the Most High. They're not going to do that. That's what it sounds like to have a good name in a negative
Hmm.
category. When somebody wants to present something and they know not to bring it to you. Why? Because your character has spoken so loud that they know you wouldn't be a part of that. Or likewise, in the other aspect, when someone needs counsel or wisdom, they know where to start because you've already put forth a reputation that you give set apart advice. You give good advice. Or if people listen to what you have to say, their situations would hopefully work out for the best, because you're the type of person who's founded on the ways of the Father. Not just because you can say good stories, you live it. You can live your good advice, and I believe those things really show that you've desired Yah over the world.
Absolutely, that's good. I think you gentlemen presented some awesome things. That's real good. I think it's flowing real good, and I think all that you guys are saying that even with that is what we was talking earlier in Galatians chapter 20. I mean chapter 5 verse 22. But the fruit of the spirit is love. So when we trying to build something, right? We trying to build a good reputation, right? We, like I was saying before, it's constant, it's ongoing, but we have to be in order to do this, you have to be honest. You have to have some good integrity. You got to be reliable. All of these things have to be to the core. Other word, the joy has to be to the core, right? The peace, it has to be to the core. And this what forms everyone that in our scriptures, when we find those things, right? Even though this part of there was writings there, but they have always had this because there's always been, say, the fruit or the character of the Ruach or the Spirit, right? Kindness, the goodness. These are the things, because when you have the opposite of these things, that's not a good reputation in that. It calls you to do different things. We have to be people that are gentle. The gentleness have to be there. And I think in order to have a good name, self-control is important. Against such there is no Torah, right? And it said, and those who are in Messiah, this is something that we have to do, right? Those of us that are in Him, this is something that we have to do. In verse 25, it says, if we live in the Spirit, right? And this is what we were saying earlier, right? If we live in that spirit, that's something that we have to walk. We have to walk in the spirit. So let us also, we have to walk in the spirit. So what I wanted to bring out is the walk. Now, in order to have this good name here, that someone else has to see you walk, right? Somebody has to see this. So when you walk in, somebody has to see you. Many times we say, I'm going to take a walk. You will walk around the neighborhood, and then your neighbors and different things will see you. What they see you doing, they see you walking. So in your life, and I think that's what we are trying to put forth to encourage others in order to be powered up in that, right? And so that way we won't give ourselves over to the things of the flesh, right? And if we do that, then it will hinder our reputation that we have. It'll hinder it, and so we don't want that. One of the things in Philippians chapter 2, it's talking about Timothy here, and it was talking about how he's always been an encouragement, right? In that, in verse 20, for I have known one else of the same mind, right? who takes a genuine interest in our welfare. For all, it's with it, seek their own interests. And so if we want to be people that have a good reputation, we don't seek our own interests, right? Not for those of Messiah Yeshua, right? But he has proven himself. That right there. That's that. Let me move this up. That's a good one, right? Because this is where we're trying to go, right? So this here is something when we're talking about building that good name. Is something that is constant, something that is trustworthy, right? And so we want to have a foundation of a good name, right? And so no matter where you get, because many of us, right, maybe we didn't have the best of names, but now we can build on something. Now you know how to have a good name, right? And how to serve others, right? So he's a servant, it was saying that. He's a servant of this good news. So we have to be servants. We have to be viable to that. It's a constant thing. It's ongoing. It's always ongoing in that. And so this is how we build on it. This is how we, again, I want to reiterate it. It's over time, but you have to start. In order to accomplish something, you have to start. It have to be a starting point. And so those, and also even, and we'll get probably more in this in the next time. I want to interject since I thought about it. The challenges of mistakes, right? A good reputation or a good knows how to, even though the mistakes come about, right? David, I think y'all had mentioned, that good king. And but even through the mistakes, right? Even through our mistakes sometimes, that people will not remember, right? What maybe sometime when I say remember, it will always be there. It won't be at the forefront. That's more or less, right? So sometimes the things that we can do can kind of like override that which we lack in. And so that's sometimes let it be prominent because I know all of us is talking about building a reputation, and then to maintain that. But sometimes in that process, there will be mistakes. There will be challenges that we have to come upon. And that's what makes us have that good rep. When we face with something, right? That's when it is. When we are faced with something, then how we will react to that. Are we gonna, or what are we facing, right? It's very important in that to maintain. So we're thinking about the maintenance of that, right? The maintaining of that. Can you, gentlemen, think of some way? I guess we'll have Jedediah come up. Think of some ways on how we can maintain a good reputation in that. What are some of the responsibilities that we come forth with that? Some things that we can learn in that. A willingness to improve, right? To maintain some things. What are some ways you think, my brother?
I'd say the best way to go about it, maintaining the things that we have of the Father is through through consistency. Uh, and as long as our heart is in it, we will be there. We will always be able to maintain. And to me, the most important thing you need is a community. You need
Right.
someone to hold you responsible. You need someone to be there to hold you up when you're down. Um, and also, you need to be that person as well for other people. So being consistent, making sure that all things that you're doing are in decently in order when you're dealing with people, because this is the name that you're trying to build will go forth through the people that you deal with, and
Certainly.
also just knowing that um, we can. It's not always about talking about the word to people. Like you
Right.
said, the walk, people seeing you do things. That's what's important. And as long as we are consistent in our lives and not trying to take shortcuts and always being diligent in our word and within our community, then I believe that that will take us a long way. That's how we will maintain those things, especially like example with our Yehoshua. You know, we've always, you know, we got this battle that we do, you know, but if there is something that I'm not doing right, I know that he will always be there for me to point those things out. You know, because our goal, we're trying to be in one with each other to make sure that we are serving the Father and we are reflecting the Messiah. And one thing that I learned when I first came to the community, that's the first thing I remember him saying to me is like, we hold each other accountable. And when we hold each other accountable, that's the best way to continue to not only just build in those things, but maintain in those things.
Absolutely, absolutely. Good, my brother. Good, my brother. All right, we have you to come up, my brother. What are you thinking on that? Maintaining. We're thinking about maintaining those things, and it's for the long haul, you know. In that, and that was good. I think accountability is real good, in order for us to carry that good name, right? Because that'll give us mercy for one another. When you accountable to someone, right? You know, when you doing that, it maintains a good name. So you refining yourself. So it's real good maintenance when you do that because somebody else is seeing it, and so when they telling you something, right, or suggestions or advice, they doing that to refine to make sure that you can present yourself most of all of a child of the Most High, right? And so you guys refined in those things, and that's good in that, and that causes us to carry a good name in that, because the interaction causes us to when somebody, you know, when you tell somebody else, you know that person, you know, maybe the next week maybe get more into the referral, you know, giving a reference, like, you know, sort of like on a job or something like that, or when you go to another community, somebody ought to be able to say when you come in, who are you, right? That's what we're looking for. We need to look back to your record to see what kind of person you are, right? That's what we need to do. Look at that to maintain in that. So what do you think, my brother?
Praise Yah. That was awesome.
Hallelujah.
Hallelujah. That is great. That's a good thing. And you're 100% right, my brother. And it's likewise the same for you as for me. And More, when you said that about the record, it when I'm thinking about how to keep yourself in that. There's a scripture. It says, "Do not be led astray." It's First Corinthians
Uh-huh.
First Corinthians 15:33. Do not be led astray. There's a comma there, and we know it's not going to be a comma there, but I like
Right,
that.
right.
So how do
Yes.
you keep yourself first? You got to know where you are. You have to know where you're going. You have to have a goal. So if you're walking in this with a good name, that's something once once you develop this good character, you're going to notice it. So now you need to not be led astray. Why? Because you could get puffed up. You could forget where you were when this all began.
Mm-hmm.
If I always take on the mindset of a servant. So to me, if you remember you were a servant before the Father, did his calling upon you, and you're still going to be a servant afterwards. You don't go from like servant all the way to CEO and forget, oh man, I used to tie shoes, oh, now I got somebody who ties my shoes. There's sometimes we forget where we started. But the end of that verse, 1 Corinthians 15:33 says, evil company corrupts good habits. And I'm the person who's been delivered from evil company. So I can tell you that if you are a person who knows habitually what is good, what is right, you have a standard, you're living your life to be congruent with the Father, that is going to really teach you on how you can keep yourself, because now you know what you shouldn't do and what you should do. And if you are the type of person who knows the difference between good and evil, then you're going to be hopefully wiser to keep yourself there. And that's really where I would start. And in doing so, like my brother said, if you're not going to be surrounded by this evil company, you also now to surround yourself with good company. You need to
Mm-hmm.
be a
Mm-hmm.
type of people who are around the set apart ones, the kadoshim, and then in doing so, you take upon the acts of righteousness, the good habits. Now all those fruit of the spirit are verbs in your life. You're the type of person who's doing them and who's
Mm-hmm.
known for doing them. And if you keep doing good, there's a scripture that says don't grow weary in it. But there's an opportunity also for you to be refreshed, because now you're around other people who are doing good to you. Um, and I'd say another thing that came to my mind was um, it's First Corinthians chapter 7:24. It says, "Brothers, let each one remain with Elohim." Of course, we got to go get the context. That's what Maury's always saying. Get the context. Remember, remain with Elohim in that calling in which He has called. So
Mm-hmm.
what my mindset is that in the good thing that you began to do with the Father, you have to remember it was because of the Father that you were able to accomplish. Many scriptures talk about remember, because it's easy to forget. And I think sometimes once we find ourselves full and satisfied, we forget the times where we were hungry and our bellies were empty, or our life was not as full with goodness and good company. Maybe it was the opposite. It was full of evil and bad company. And in that place, it can be bad. It can be a very troublesome mindset. Now I'm not looked at as trustworthy. But then now that I remember I've been called, by being called, I answered the opportunity to do the righteous works of the Father that He laid out for us in the Messiah. I'm going to remember those things and stay in them. I'm not going to be the type of person who looks and forgets. I'm going to be the type of person who lives this out day by day, remembering that the Master called me into His house, and He gave me reputation. He gave me a name, and He gave me an opportunity to serve at His table. So why would I ever do anything less than that? And all the people He's brought into my way is an opportunity for me to do unto them the way He was to me. To show He showed me kindness, so I can show kindness. He's given me clothes, so I can do such likewise. So I just think if we remember where we came from, remain with the Father, not be led astray, and keep good company, that's how you can remain in a good name.
Hallelujah. All right. Outstanding. You guys really brought that out. I think that's something that we can continue to do, is to make sure that we are sincere, right? Because a good name, if you build on it, you can be sincere. Because if you're not, you can, you're gonna run into trouble. You're gonna run into trouble in that. We have to be a people that are sincere in that. And so when we demonstrate integrity, we demonstrate willingness to do those things. One of the things that I guess I think even the story was saying earlier. I wish I had. Maybe I could have more, but I'm sure you guys didn't heard this before. I think I said it, but certain things kind of stay with you, in your life. And I remember one time at the job, the woman had accused me to the management that I had. This is what the word that they used, had used, cussed her out, said some language to her that would be something that would really put her down, right? Using foul language. Now I know today people don't think it's foul no more, And I know a lot of times those of us in covenant, we use foul language, right? That's not a good reputation. No matter how you fix it, it is not good. It is foul, right? Nothing comes out of your mouth that will edify the next person. And so we don't do that. Even though those words can be used, and who you talk to, they say, well, that it's not sin or all that. It is foul, because you cannot use foul language, right, to a person and get a good reputation. You can't do that. If you use those words, you cannot do that. That does not come from a place of Yah. We don't use those words. You may think them, but you don't use them. And a lot of times I see those that would say they are in the covenant of things, that they use foul language. Now, one of the things that I could use, and I just use myself, right, is when she talked to management about that. One of the things that he told me, he said, now, if you maybe would have said anything else besides that he put some choice words in his mouth to speak to you, then I would have to believe that. But Tony did not do that. He did not do that. I think you might have misunderstood him. Why is that? Because he never heard me have foul language that come out of my mouth. And he was with me a long time, but he left and then he came back. He was still the management, but he left and came back. But he was with me for years. And anyone around me realized that I did not use language that's not appropriate to someone else. The B words, the F words, and all of those words, right? And so I did not use them because it was inappropriate to say that to somebody. It's not a good reputation, right? But she brought that up because she was trying to say get me. She thought that would really get me into trouble or maybe fired. I don't know. I can't remember it. I believe the young lady wanted me to do something that I didn't. I didn't want to do, so she didn't approve of that. So to this day, I don't really know what I did in that, because most time they may not tell you who it is. But I was grateful. I was grateful because I was in the covenant of the Most High. So I was grateful that he realized that those words did not come out of my mouth. You know what? Only thing I have to do is say it around him or anybody else once. And then it could be believable, right? Well, yeah, when he get upset, he will say some words to you. So let me talk to him. But even with that, he knew that I wouldn't say that, because he was in positions where things got heated, and he never heard me say anything like that, right? Or speak to anyone like that, So when you do those things, it's not respectful. We have to be a people of respect. And so you don't say that to no one. You don't use those words to no one, right? Because you always want to build up. This is what Power Up is all about, is to edify, right? And so when we want to be trustworthy people in that, I think you said even in Corinthians, it was talking about compassion and made trustworthy, So sometimes when we're talking about our walk, we undoubtedly want to do anything and then call it a walk, right? We can't do anything and call it a walk. Now, you may be growing in your walk, but you cannot do that, right? You cannot say foul things to your wife. You cannot say foul things to your husband. You cannot say foul things to your neighbors. You can't use those words, and everyone would listen to me know what those words are. And if you're in covenant, why are you using such words? There's no other word that you can use. There's no. Where did we get that from? Did we get it from our forefathers? Did we get those words from our forefathers? Did they speak those particular words? Why would you do that? Okay, so certain words we don't even use, those of us that's in the covenant, according to what the meaning is of it, right? You know, and so we use those words, but we cannot do that no matter how your temperature may rise. And that's even worse. When you come from an anger point using those foul words, you are spewing poison out and putting that poison into somebody else's life. You can't do that, right? So we need to stop that and start practicing the things that we need to do. I know that we want to say it. You know, I know we want to say those different things, and we do that because of the reaction of the word that we are using, that we get behind it, right? Whether if it's the N word, the P word, whatever it might be, right? Those words, right? They carry a little weight in English anyway, you know, and so they are vulgar. You know, nobody representing the things of the Father are vulgar like that, you know. You know, I was listening to some well, it's all out there, but one some teachers, they teach it, you know, that it's okay. It's not okay. That is not okay, and you know it's not okay. You want to use those things because you do not want to change. Something triggers in our hearts when we use those particular words like that, you know, and it's not good. You can't have a good name like that, you know, because you say you better watch it. He gonna curse you out. He'll curse you out in a minute. You know, he'll say some words to you, you know, and so you're okay until you make them upset, and then they call you different names. You know, I didn't even had people to call me the names that's in the covenant, and I was in Shakot with them, right? Those are vulgar names. Those are names that you should not be. You know, among us, there are some things the scriptures tell us. Some things should not be a named even among you. So just because the world or those of the nation use it, we shouldn't even use it. Just because they use it, let them have it. We don't need everything from them. Let them have it, right? And that's one of the things that we cannot use that, you know, in that. And I done heard some of them, they have the light vulgar words, then they got the heavy vulgar words, right? So those things is not good. They say this is just a little word right here. You know, that's a little word. And then this one over here. So what we have to do, we have to clean those things up. When we come into the covenant, we don't speak to one another like that. I think people forget that. In order for us to build a good reputation, our integrity, the willingness to improve, you know. So we can make mistakes, but our willingness to improve. And that's when we was talking about earlier, we said about the fruits of the Ruach, right? The fruits of the Spirit, right? The fruits of the Spirit. Gentleness. Vulgar words, is that gentleness? Self-control. Those words, is that self-control? Huh? You know, joy. So can I say those vulgar words in love? Or do I say them vulgar words because I got joy? Do I say those vulgar words, those nasty words because of peace? Do I say those words because of patience, of kindness? So when I get through cursing you out, is that kindness? When I get through, is that gentle? Is that we have to be gentle, right? When you use those words, you are out of control. You are out of control. So that means that you're impelled by the flesh. So other words, you are there in the flesh. When you use those words, those not coming from the Ruach. But we use those words in the same thing, in the same sentence. Some even teach and then use a vulgar words. Words that comes from Hasatan. Those words was not created by Yah. In the English, in anything else, they was not. Right? We put meaning to those words. And when you put meaning to those words, it was a vulgar situation. Right? We can say certain words and they make triggers. They make triggers of things. You know, these are the things that is not under Torah. It was saying the works of the flesh. We need to go back and read those things, right? We don't want that. that you can't hate. You can't have hatred. You can't do that in the covenant, even though you're doing it. So what we have to be a people, right? We have to be a people of good reputation in that. We need to have that. We got to communicate those things, right? We have to build the trust. We have to be honest. We have to be open. And then I think you, as you guys are saying, accountability is big. Why? It helps us to prevent misunderstanding when we are accountable to one another. You know, when we talk to one another, when we communicate to one another, it keeps the misunderstanding down. It keeps all of those things down, right? And so we have to make sure that we continue to build in that. We build in a reputation that we need. We doing that, right? So make sure that when we demonstrate something, it's not something that filth that comes out of our mouth, right? When you come out of that mouth, you can say that oh, that you so sweet, or you can use another word, right? So do you think that word is appropriate for those of us that's in covenant, right? And I know that it's difficult, and we may not want to hear it. And after you hear it, if you don't change or not, but somebody need to tell us. We need to stop that. That's not of y'all like that. No hatred coming out of your mouth. Well, you say I don't hate them, but your mouth didn't tell you that by what you saying, right? By what you saying, by how you walking. So we can't continue to do that and call ourselves to have a good reputation, because I don't know when you're going to curse me out. When you're going to curse me out, right? Because you're trying to harm me. You're trying to injure me when you do that. You have fits of rage when you do that, right? That is something that we don't need to do. You know, we can't be a people that are drunk. We don't do drunkenness, right? We don't do that. Well, what do we get that at? Did you get that out of Torah? No, of course not. We're trying to build something here, right? We are honest. We're trying to build something respectful to one another, right? And so even when times get difficult, we still keep our gentleness. We still keep the self-control and the things that we need, right? Practice, right? Those things are there. If we practice, then those things are happen. And then what that does, it strengthens us, right? It strengthens us. It put the right values that we need in order for us to be lights to the nations, right? You can't be no light to a nation cussing them out. Who wants to hear that? You going to tell me something good come out of that? Somebody cuss you out and you say, "Ooh, that's good. I just love Yah." Ooh, say some more words to me. Edify me some more. Build me up some more, right? You know, those words are not there. Sometimes somebody talking to me and all of a sudden they use one of those words that's in covenant. Now, from the nations, that's just their language. That's their language. But I don't know what to say after they finish one of those drop a word on you like that. I don't know where to go from there. I'm like, where was you at why would you say that? You know, why would you use that word there? Why would you do that? Are we maintaining then? Are we maintaining that reputation? Is that a good name? So if somebody did that to me, you know what I had to tell them? I had to say, well, yeah, he's good, but you have to watch him because he'll curse you out in a minute. If you make him mad, and he'll push that button, he'll lay one on you. So you have to be careful in that. We don't walk like that, you know. And if we walking like that, now it's time to change. It's time to change. And you can practice those things, right? I remember many times when I had to change my language like that, it was difficult because every other word I would use those vulgar words. That's how we talked in the nation. But when I come in the covenant, I had to practice not to. And sometimes I had to, what they use the terminology, to bite the tongue. I had to bite my tongue on some of that, right? That's just the way that is. Why is that? Because I want to be a person of influence. And then it has to be good. When you curse me out, I don't know if it's good or bad. good or bad. When you cuss the children out, curse the children out, those vulgar words, toward your children, is that the spirit of love? Is that can you honestly say that that's the spirit of love, right? Can you honestly say that? We cannot use those words. And I know they are there. And it takes a little practice, but you can get over it in that. Even the slippage of somebody cut you off. What do you want to say? I know a lot of things come to my mind to want to say, but I can't say it. Why? Because I'm walking these things out. There's a place that I have to be in order for us to walk it out. And that we have to know those things, right? And look at sometimes when you just when they start you, if you in covenant, you start using the words, I'm through. I'm not talking to you because that's the wrong spirit. That's not the spirit of what Jedediah, the scriptures he gave earlier. That's the wrong spirit. How can you read this and then curse somebody out? How can you read this and then use vulgar words like that? Wrong. Wrong. That is wrong, right? You are representing someone else, something else. So the words itself may not be. We want to say sin because a lot of times people create sin. Sin is transgression against Torah, right? Okay, it don't say in Torah, don't say that word, but it does tell you what the flesh is. It tells you what the flesh is. And so we have to be a people that don't use those words. We want to be a people of great reputation in that, right? We don't want to be involved in those things. And if you read, that'd be a good thing to go back over Galatians chapter 5. And it said, let us walk also in the spirit. So you're going to tell me you in the spirit when you curse somebody out? Or when you use those words in your sentence? How can you use scriptures and then you use vulgar words at the same time? How does that happen? I need to know what spirit I am of. That's what I need to do. Because we can't even provoke one another. We can't do that. We can't be envy people. So in that, my brother, I think I just started to, let me bring your brothers back up, started to just kind of flow through that. And I just wanted to just kind of briefly put those things in our hearts. And if you are no longer listening, you have the wrong spirit, right? So you can always correct that. So next time maybe we'll get on. Okay, what do we do when we in this? How do we exercise some things? How do we activate those things in our lives? And maybe next time, next session, we'll do those things in that. So, brother, any closing words? You guys can express that, and then we'll close it on up here. However you want to put it there. Hallelujah.
No, sir. But
Okay.
I would like to say that was very good what you had to say, and I think that we, as the nation of Israel, we need to hear that. So I really do appreciate that for myself.
All right. Thank you, my brother. Anything there? Sid, are you still there, my brother? We don't see you again. That's all right. You must have pushed the button.
No, sir. It locked up. I tried to refresh it, but
Okay. All right.
if I fully refresh it, it'll kick me out.
Oh, that's fine. Okay. Well, we bet at the end, but you have any closing words, my brother?
Yes, sir. And I think what you said is something that isn't said, and that's why I think in terms of having a good name, some people don't know why they don't have one, and perhaps it may be those words they're spewing out of their mouth. And with that, when you were talking about the walk, there was a scripture in Bereshit 6 and 9. And speaking of the genealogy of Noah in English, it says he was a righteous man, perfect in his generation, and walked with Elohim. And I think if all that you had said and all that was said was added to it, you would also know that the words that one speaks and the actions they do truly is what lays out that righteousness to be put upon their name. and show that they are a good influence and that you care about what you put out of your own mouth, whether you're in the flesh or not.
Absolutely, absolutely, and that's something that yes, absolutely. So the influence of a good name, and that's what we want to carry. All of us, men and women, we want to have a good name. Because I didn't heard some women use those words too. You know, but we want to carry a good name. Well, thank you, my brothers, for hanging in and taking out time to take this journey with me, and I appreciate you very much. And until next time, to the whole house of Israel and those that you are still in the room or are looking at this time, or will look at it. And if you made it all the way through to that, and it was something that really powered you, it should have been a power up moment. And we can always do about the things that we are lacking. We can always do something about that. You can always do something about that. Thank you for giving me a chance to use the shepherd staff. And may Yah continue to bless all of your efforts and everything that you do. Shalom, shalom.